The most surprising part is how much it feels like a real hot tub once you are actually sitting in it, even though it is inflatable. After a long day, I can step outside, turn on the bubbles, and my shoulders genuinely drop in a way I normally only get from a permanent spa. This is the PureSpa Greystone Deluxe 6-person spa set. It sits in that sweet spot between a full built-in hot tub and the cheaper inflatable tubs that feel like a toy. It is best for someone who wants a legit relaxing soak at home, but does not want a permanent installation, complicated electrical work, or a huge commitment. I also think it makes sense for people who like hosting. It is big enough that it does not feel awkward with a couple of friends, and it is comfortable enough that people actually want to stay in it for a while instead of doing a quick 5 minutes and leaving. Just looking at it in my backyard, the square shape and the gray finish do a lot of work. It looks more modern than the round, inflatable spas I have tried before, and it blends in instead of screaming pool toy. The material feels thick and confidence-inspiring when you press on it. What mattered more to me day to day, though, was how it supports your body. The built-in headrests and armrests sound like a small thing, but they change how long you can comfortably stay in. Without those, I am constantly adjusting my posture and trying to find a position that does not make my neck feel weird. Here, I can settle in, lean back, and actually relax. The size is real. I have had 6 people in it, and yes, it works, but it depends on how close you all are. With 6 adults, it becomes more of a cozy situation. With 4, it feels ideal. With 2, it feels luxurious. The water capacity is not just a fun fact either. When it is full, it holds enough water that the temperature feels stable once it is heated, especially with the cover on. Setting it up was easier than I expected, but I did have one moment where I had to stop and reread the instructions because the wording was not as clear as it should have been. Once I understood the order of operations, it was straightforward. The FastFill inflation system is the kind of feature you only appreciate after you have dealt with inflating something large the annoying way. I pressed the button, and it just filled up evenly without me fighting it. It felt more like setting up an appliance than setting up a pool float. Filling it with water is simple, but you do need to plan for the time it takes to heat. I do not treat this like something I decide to use on a whim 15 minutes from now. For me, this is an evening thing. I will set it earlier, let it come up to temperature, and then it becomes the reward at the end of the day. Once it is at the temperature I like, it does a good job holding that warmth, especially if you use the included cover the way you are supposed to. I have checked it the next morning and been impressed that it did not drop off a cliff overnight. The control experience is one of the more polished parts of using this spa. The wireless control panel is genuinely convenient. I like being able to sit in the water and make adjustments without reaching out awkwardly or getting up. It attaches neatly and charges without me thinking about it, which is exactly how it should be. I also use the phone app, and it is not a gimmick. I did not expect to care, but I ended up using it to set heating times and manage the temperature from inside the house. When it is colder outside, that matters, because I do not want to step out just to check a setting. The responsiveness has been solid for me, and it has not felt laggy or unreliable. The main reason anyone buys a spa is the actual massage and relaxation, and that is where this one earns its place. The bubble jets have enough strength that you can feel them working across your back and legs. It is not the same as directional hydro jets on a high-end permanent hot tub, so I want to be clear about expectations. This is more of a full-body bubbling massage, but it is not weak. When I turn it on, I can feel the pressure and the movement in the water, and it does help with sore muscles. I have used it after workouts, and it has become my go-to for lower back stiffness. I also noticed that the sound and sensation of the bubbles make it easier to mentally shut off. It turns into white noise in a good way. Water temperature matters in real life because it determines whether you actually use the spa regularly. This one goes up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is where I keep it when it is chilly outside. It feels properly hot, like the kind of soak where your hands start to prune and you realize you have been out there for a while. The heating speed is decent for the category, but you still need patience. If you want instant heat, you need a permanently installed system with much higher power. For an inflatable setup that plugs in like this, It performs the way I hoped it would. I tested it in a few different scenarios because my backyard conditions change a lot. On a calm evening, it is honestly a perfect little retreat. On a windy night, you will appreciate the cover, and you will also notice that you will lose heat faster if you are running the bubbles for a long time. That is just physics. I also tested it with different numbers of people. With 4 people, everyone had a comfortable spot, and conversation felt natural because the square shape gives you better face-to-face seating than a round tub. With 6, it worked, but people had to shift around to get comfortable. Still, for an inflatable spa, I was impressed that it did not feel like it was collapsing inward or getting unstable. One specific use case where I ended up loving it was weekend evenings when I would normally just sit on the couch. I started doing a soak for about 20 to 30 minutes, then going inside and sleeping better. That might sound like a wellness talking point, but I am saying it because it happened consistently for me. The combination of heat and the bubbling massage made it easier for my body to unwind. It also became a social thing. Friends would come over, and instead of staring at a television, we would actually talk. It sounds simple, but it changed the vibe of the night. There are a couple of realistic downsides. Maintenance is the big one. You have to stay on top of the filters. If you are the kind of person who hates routine upkeep, this will test your patience. I found that cleaning and replacing filters came up more often than I expected. It is not hard, it is just regular, and if you ignore it, the water quality will remind you quickly. The pump noise is also noticeable. It is not painfully loud, but it is there. If you are chasing total silence, you will hear the system running, especially when the bubbles are on. I personally got used to it, but it is worth knowing. Storage is another practical consideration. If you plan to deflate it and put it away seasonally, you need space. The tub itself is manageable, but the whole setup with the pump unit and accessories becomes bulky. I think it works best for people who can leave it in place for a while, rather than setting it up and tearing it down every weekend. Overall, I think the PureSpa Greystone Deluxe 6-person spa set makes the most sense for someone who wants an authentic hot tub experience at home without committing to a permanent installation. If you want something that looks good in the yard, feels comfortable for real soaking sessions, and has controls that make it easy to actually use, this one delivers. If you know you will not keep up with water care, or you need a whisper-quiet system, you should think twice, because those are the areas where it feels like a realistic inflatable spa, not a miracle product. I will leave all the information about the PureSpa Greystone Deluxe 6-person spa set in the comments. I hope to see you again in the following videos.